In this unit of our InDesign CS6 course, we're going to place the text that's going to go to the inside of our trifold brochure. Now, in the previous unit, I placed these three pictures first. Placing graphics or placing text in an InDesign document is kind of that chicken and egg thing. As we're talking about that, we can basically define this as a preference as opposed to a required way for us to define how we bring graphics into our InDesign document. Now, as I'm working right here, I tend to bring the graphics in first, simply because it's much easier for me to rescale or resize graphics to take up more or less space than it is for me to work with text. So I'll generally place the pictures in first. But again, as I said, that's really more a matter of preference than some law that you should observe as you're designing your InDesign documents. Now, I've got this set. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in some text. Now, once again, I'm going to click where there's absolutely nothing so I don't accidentally place my new text into an existing text or picture frame. I'm going to go Command D to get the type. And what I'm going to do in this case is I'm first going to grab the type that's called Adobe Copy.rtf. That contains the text that we're going to build into the top panel of our Adobe Creative Suite section of the inside of our trifold brochure. So I'm going to double click on that. And as I do, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag a little bit of space that's going to define the type we're working with. So I'm going to start right here, and this is actually built up of three separate elements. I've got a short text information that's going to go immediately beneath our blue field here. I've got some bulleted information that I'm going to set down below, and then I've got a cut line or a caption that goes with the picture that we've got listed right here. I'm just going to stretch this all the way across the top like so. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with the text in this first section, the header that I'm going to place in here. Now, this text information is basically set for whatever format was used for our word processing program to bring in the text. So I'm going to go Command A, since I'm working on a Mac in this chapter of our InDesign course. If you're working with a Windows PC, you'd go Control A. I'm going to go over to my paragraph styles, and I'm going to make that all body copy. I'm going to go Command 2 so I can actually bring this up a little bit larger across the page and see what I'm working with. And I'm going to get rid of this paragraph style for just a little bit. We'll come back to that a little later. So I've got the first area set where I've got a little surprise here. For some reason that character didn't take. That's supposed to be an apostrophe, which I'll replace just like so. Sometimes we find little rude surprises like that, and that's one of the reasons we always want to look at our type before we just place it and send it away. I'm going to adjust this extra space that I've got right here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this little plus. Now remember, we discussed this earlier in the InDesign course. Anytime you see a little plus in a text frame like this, it means that there's more text available than can be shown within the visible area of this text frame. So I'm going to click on that, and that's going to pick up my text again. Now it shows the text at the very start of that. That's kind of lying to us a little bit, but I'm going to go down here. In this case, I'm going to go down to 9 1/8 inches. And I'm going to drag this down and to the right to place the second block of type that I've got to work with here. Now, as I look at this, I've actually got a long list of bulleted items. It's so long that it actually goes all the way down to here. Now, there's the cut line. We'll deal with that last in just a moment. So what I'm going to do in this case, I'm just going to drag this up to here for right now. I'm going to scroll up just a little bit, and I'm going to get my type tool. I'm going to click inside this line right here, which I'm going to make a small header. So I'm going to click 1, 2, 3 times to highlight the entire line. And what I'm going to do in this instance, I'm going to open up the Paragraph Styles dialog box, this panel right over here, but I'm actually going to change the type style from regular and I'm going to make it bold italic. And I'm going to change the type size from 13 points to make it 18 points and on 18-point leading. So now as I do that, what's happened is I've got this little plus that says there are overrides. It's basically body copy except for the fact that I've changed the weight to bold italic and I've changed the size and leading to 18 points. I'm going to place my cursor just before the C and I'm going to hit the backspace to get rid of this extra space we've got up above. I'm actually going to do the same thing. No, I'm going to use a different way to set up this type. What I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all of these elements that I want to build as bullets. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to say, make these bullets. Now, if you have a high resolution screen, you may actually see an option over here to set up bullets. But if you're running at a relatively lower resolution, what you'll have to do is you'll have to go to this flyaway menu to select the bullets and numbering flyaway menu command. Now in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the list type and I'm going to make it bullets. By default, you'll see that it gives a tab position of 1/2 of an inch. I'm actually going to bring that down a bunch, and I'm going to make that 0.125 or 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to say OK, and as I do, it'll set these bullets up nice and easy as we're working with it right over here. Now we can see we've got all these fine bullets right over here, but we've also got all this extra space here. Now I could divide this up into separate elements and make that work, but there's a simpler way for me to work with this type than working with the paragraph specifications here or working with the character formatting controls right here. What I'm going to do in this case is I'm going to go to this span area, and what I'm going to ask it to do is I'm going to take those bullets that we've got highlighted and I'm going to ask it to split that into 3 separate columns. So when I do that, what it'll do is it'll take that and break it up just like so. Column 1, column 2, column 3, so we can clearly see that all the way across. It took the 15 separate bullets and it lined them up in 3 separate columns, in this case evenly numbered with 5 elements apiece. Now, I don't want to mess with all that extra space, so I'm going to get my selection tool and I'm going to bring this up to the very bottom of what we've got, and I've got one more plus here. I'm going to click on this. I'm actually going to set this aside just a little bit. I'm going to move it over here and I'm going to place this cut line just like so. Now, what I'm also going to do is I'm going to place a color field to place this cut line into. So as we're talking about working with this right here, we've talked about how it's a lot easier for us to build a color field. Let's say a rectangle right here that I'm going to start right at the edge where this monitor is. Hold the mouse button down and drag this over, we'll say, to right about 4 3/4 inches, just like so. Now it's got that default color that we've got built into here. Fill in none, stroke of black. We're going to change that. We're going to go to our swatches palette. And what I'm going to do is first I'm going to give this a stroke of none. Then I'm going to give it a fill. And we're just going to make it a nice dark red to kind of mirror the Adobe symbol. So I'll take this color build right here, what would normally be the R and RGB color, and I'm going to give it a fill of that. So I've got a nice color block just like so. Now that I've done that, I'm going to take this text, place this text frame over the top of it like so. Notice it sits in the background because I drew this after I drew the frame here for that text frame. So I'm going to go to Object, Arrange, and I'm going to bring it to the front. The keyboard shortcut on the Mac here is Command Shift and the right data bracket. That's 2 keys to the right of the letter P. If you're working on a Windows PC, it would be Control Shift right data bracket. And that'll bring that text up front and center. I'm going to get rid of this little return and the text for cut line here. I'm just going to delete those. And what I'm going to do is now I'm going to take this text and adjust it, so it shows that Total Training offers Adobe courses for print, web, and video. I'm going to place this down here inside the area for my text frame, and I'm going to do a little text formatting here. So I'm going to go inside here, and I'm just going to highlight all this text like so. I'm going to take that character and I'm going to make it bold italic. Actually, this time what I'll do is I'll use my character attributes. So in this case, I'll say that highlighted text is going to become body copy bold italic. I'm going to take it and I'm going to align it to center. And now with this highlighted, what I'm going to do is I'm going to center this in this text frame vertically by going to the Object, Text Frame Options menu command. Keyboard shortcut for that is Command B on the Mac, Control B on a Windows PC. And I'm going to take that and I'm going to take the vertical justification, align that to center, and click the preview box to see how it lines up. Not bad, although we could apply a little bit more loving and attention to this, and we'll do that shortly. So I'm going to say OK. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this text that we've got right here and bring that down to a spot where it just kind of fits inside of this. So I'm going to take that type and I'm also going to reverse it. So I'm going to highlight all of this, go to my color palette, give that type a fill of white. That's the way it's going to look as I arrange this against the frame I'm working with right here. So let me bring that up just a hair more. There we go. Now I've got that built just like so. Now I'm going to get to this red field. This is that little extra I was going to talk to you about. I'm going to hold down my Command key to click through the selection layer, and when I click the second time, what that'll do is that'll grab the red rectangle. I'm going to go to this right anchor point and I'm going to drag it over just like so to place it over the top of this. But once again, what I want to do is I'm going to go to arranging here and I'm going to send it to the back. So I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut Command Shift in the left data bracket. That's that character just to the right of the letter P on your typewriter keyboard. And when I do so, I can place that as a background against that just like so. Pretty spiffy, huh? We've done this technique for the first one. Let's speed up the process a little bit as we place the text for the second frame and the third. Let's go for the Apple software applications next. So I'm going to go File, Place, or I could have just used that keyboard shortcut Command D. And this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on Apple Copy. I'm going to stretch a text frame just like so all the way across. Get my cursor, click 1, 2, 3, 4 times to highlight the entire paragraph. And I'm going to take all of this actually. Let's just go Command A. Go to my Paragraph Styles panel and make it all body copy. That fits pretty well. Let me go Command 2 to see that in kind of that full screen view here. And it looks like I've got a bad return in here. So I'm going to go just before that C for courses, hit the backspace, and sure enough, I could take what was 3 lines and actually break that down into 2. So I've got that pretty clearly built. I'm going to bring this up just like so. I'm going to click on the little plus for the first frame, and I'm going to go over here, let's say to about 4.5 inches, and then intersect where the top of my picture is. Hold the mouse button down, and I'm going to drag down the second area of type that I've got right here for my Apple software courses. Now, I designed a couple of different styles. I designed a subhead style right here, and I've designed a bullet style. I don't want to build those all over from scratch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my text tool. I'm going to click in here. I'm going to create a new style. This one I'm going to call bullets. And I'm going to click here where I built that first one, create a new style here, double click on it, and I'm going to call this subhead inside. Okay. So what I can do now, as I've created those new styles, is I can click right here and I can say your subhead inside. I can highlight all 4 of these bullets right here, and I can say your bullets. And in this case, what it's done is it's split that across 3. We probably don't need to do that. I'm just going to break it in half, so I'll split it into 2 columns, just like so. And as I look at it, I've actually got a little room that I can adjust and I can work with this. So I'm going to move this, we'll say just like so. Bring this up just like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to create another one of those cut line areas built on a rectangle right over here. So I'm going to line this up right against the edge of this chair. Hold the mouse button down. Bring it to the top edge of that blue field for the 3rd panel and across to, we'll say 4 inches, just like so. I'm going to change the color fill right here. So I'm going to give that a fill of, let's see, we used the red, so let's use the blue right here and a stroke of none. Now that's a brighter blue. Actually, let's make that green for more contrast. We'll say your green for our fill right here. And again, we want to place that behind. So I'm going to go Object, Arrange, Send to Back. I'm going to click right over here. Drag out the last of this text for our cut line. So let me get in, delete that. I'm going to change that return right there. That one right there. Let's highlight all this text. And actually, we need to define one more style because I don't want to have to do all that reversing stuff all over again. So I'm going to click right here. Going to go to my paragraph styles. And I'm going to say you are caption reversed. Highlight all this text. Make it a caption reversed. Go to my text frame options. Align that to the center. There's my second cut line. Going pretty quick. Let's speed this up one last time as we do the text that's going to go to the bottom. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make sure nothing's selected. Command D. Going to grab my MS Office copy. I know how it lays out. I'm going to start here. Get my text tool. Go Command A to highlight it all. Make it all body copy. Click over here. Build an area, we'll say like this. Now I've got lots and lots of course information that I can build into right here. So I'm going to line that up roughly to match up with our guy's shoulder. I could grab a horizontal ruler guide to make sure that happens. Going to click right into this, and I'm going to say that is going to be my subhead inside. Drag this text down lower. There's all my bullets. So I'm going to highlight all of these. And I'm going to make those bullets. We'll split that across 2 columns and not 3. Looks pretty good, although I'm going to have to arrange it a little bit higher. We'll say right there. Now I'm going to create one more of those rectangles that I wanted to build. So I'm going to go, we'll say right at 4 inches. In this case, I know exactly what I'm going to do, so I'm just going to drag this all the way across to the edge of the bleed area. Give it a fill of that brighter blue. Going to give it a stroke of none. And I'm going to go, since I'm working on the Mac, Command-Shift, left data bracket to place it behind all that text that we've got right there. Let me grab the cut line. We're just about done. I'm going to highlight this area right here. Just cut it. I'm going to go Command-X this time to just cut that out from text that we've got. Create a new text frame and go Command-V to place just that cut line. Get rid of the extra space here. Delete that. Adjust it in to fit. Get rid of those extra returns that showed up there. We're going to highlight all this type. Make it our caption reverse style. And place a couple of returns in here to basically line up this type a little bit more cleanly. Now this doesn't quite fit, so we're going to adjust a little bit. We've got the room to do that. I'm going to take this picture and make it a little bit larger. Hold down my Command key to select the rectangle. Control if I was working with a Windows PC, and I'm going to stretch this up. We'll say like so. Now I'm going to click on this rectangle. Hold down my Command key to select the rectangle and bring it up to the edge of our guy's shoulder right here, just like so. Now I'm going to click on this text. Do just a little bit more adjustment every time. Let's bring this out now to, say, 3 3/4. Take this text, line it up the same way. And we've got that cut line laid out just like so. Let's move this out a little bit closer. Get rid of the extra returns we have right here. Go back out to our fit and window view. Command-0 as I'm working on the Mac. Control-0 if I'm working on the PC. And in this case I can see I've got another area where I can apply just a little bit more room here. I'm going to take this picture and I'm going to make it larger. Command-Shift. Let's drag this up, say, like so. Clicking on the first one, I'm going to hold down the Command key to click on the second one. Now I'm going to hold the Shift key to be sure that I grab both the text and that color frame. There's the text. There's the color frame. We make that a little bit bigger by going Command-2, Control-2 on Windows. Pull that over just like so. And we'll do a quick adjustment right here. Bring this up just a little bit higher. and save our handiwork, because we finished up our trifold brochure that we're going to be building for this chapter of our InDesign CS6 course. All that needs to be done is the pack up and the checking to make sure that it's acceptable. And we'll do that in the next unit of this InDesign course.